The 4:15 from Miles City ran 40 minutes late the day my life changed. I remember because I counted. I had asked the agency for a cook. $50 for the placement, $8 a month, room and board. What stepped off that train was a city coat, one carpetbag, and a woman who looked at my sign like it was written in a language she was deciding whether to learn.
You are Mr. Marsh. Elias Marsh, Crooked Creek Ranch, 4,200 acres.
Most folks just say the first part.
I read the county register on the train. It was that or the scenery, and the scenery repeats itself.
She set the bag down between us like a fence post.
Before you pay the wagon man, there is something you should know. I do not cook. I have never cooked. The agency form said domestic capabilities, and I signed it, because the truth would not have gotten me on the train.
That's a long ride to tell a man that at the end of it.
It is. You may put me on the eastbound tomorrow, and I will owe you the price of one night's lodging, which is 50 cents at the hotel and 25 at the boarding house. I checked.
40 minutes late, and she'd already given me 2 prices and 1 confession. Every man on that platform was waiting for me to say no. Dutch, in the wagon behind me, was pretending his pipe needed all his attention. Can you keep hens alive?
I do not know. Nobody has ever let me try.
Get in the wagon. I handed her up. Cotton glove, half a second. 4 miles home, neither of us spoke, and that half second rode the whole way in my palm. I'm going to tell you the whole winter. The biscuits she burned, the book she kept. In the afternoon, a cattle buyer named Aldous Grange found out exactly what I'd brought home from that station. This is not a story about a woman who couldn't cook. It's a story about what she could do, and what it cost the men who thought nobody in this valley could count. The first supper was beans she scorched and coffee you could shoe a horse with. The second supper was worse, because she'd tried harder.
The recipe said a moderate oven. That is not a measurement, Mr. Marsh. That is a mood.
Dutch eats anything. Don't take him as praise. Third morning, I found her at the shelf where I kept the ranch papers. 6 years of tally books, freight receipts, and settlement sheets, stuffed in a soap crate. She had them out on the table in stacks. Straight ones. Those papers had never once known a straight stack. Those aren't kitchen business.
No, they're the only thing in this house I understand. Your beans are in the pot. I followed the instructions Dutch gave me, and I wrote them down this time. So tonight's failure will at least be a different failure.
I should have told her to put the papers back. Instead, I watched her hands. She'd pushed her sleeves off her wrists, and there was an ink smudge on the left one. And I stood there noticing long enough that she looked up. I went and found something the stove needed. A man my age. She touched a settlement sheet the way I check a horse's leg.
Mr. Marsh, your steers averaged 1,090 pounds at the rail 3 years ago. Last fall, they averaged 1,041. Same grass?
Same grass. Better grass. We cleared the east bench in '83.
Then either your cattle are shrinking or something else is.
Buyers dock for shrink. Cattle walk off weight on the drive. Everybody knows it.
I am sure everybody does. Who weighs them?
Grange's man. At Grange's scale.
Who checks the scale?
I didn't have an answer. Nobody in the valley had one. We had a word, shrink, and a man with a smile. That night she asked for a second lamp. I said the oil cost money. she said, and I'll remember it to my last day.
Mr. Marsh, oil is 9 cents a quart. Give me 2 weeks of evenings, and I will tell you whether you have been losing more than 9 cents.
The hens didn't die. I want that in the record. 14 hens, and she knew every one by its complaining. The cooking stayed a crime, but the house started running like a ledger. The mercantile bill came down $4 a month because she read it line by line and made Hollis explain a charge for axle grease I never bought.
Boss, I ain't saying she's a witch. I'm saying Hollis turned a color I never seen on a living man.
Evenings went the same. Supper, apologized for. Dishes. Then the lamp, the pencil, and the crate. I took to bringing the harness to the same table, so the mending got done in her light. It was the kind of quiet you stop noticing the edges of. Some nights, reaching for the ink, she'd cross the lamp and lay her shadow over my work, and I'd hold still till it passed. I never told her that. A shadow is a foolish thing to look forward to.
May I ask you something that is not arithmetic?
You can ask.
The room I sleep in. There is a dress hook behind the door, and a mirror hung too low for you, and the window faces east. Somebody chose that room for the morning light. I have not asked because it is not my business. I am asking now because I am using her lamp.
Margaret, winter of '81. The doctor charged $11 and it didn't matter.
$11.
You're the first person who didn't say sorry.
I do not think you keep a soap crate of papers because you want sorry, Mr. Marsh. I think you kept every receipt of a hard life because throwing them away felt like agreeing to it.
She went back to her columns. I went back to the harness. Nothing else was said, and nothing else needed to be. 2 nights on, she set her pencil down mid-column, which she did not do, ever.
I have added this column 3 times, Mr. Marsh.
Long day.
It is 9 o'clock in the evening. The day is not the variable.
I didn't ask what was. She didn't offer. I mended harness that didn't need mending till her lamp went up the stairs. Ask either of us what we were doing that winter, you'd have gotten the same answer. Arithmetic. 12 nights in, she stopped writing all at once. Sat back, squared the pencil against the page.
I need to see one thing weighed on a scale that is not his. Anything. A sack of flour, 1 steer, and I need every settlement sheet from your neighbors, as far back as they keep them.
Neighbors won't hand a stranger their money papers.
No, but they will hand them to you. And Mr. Marsh, when you ask, do not say why. Say your cook is doing the accounts now and she is particular. Let them laugh. The laughing is useful.
The 2 weeks hadn't been about my ranch. She'd found it in the first 4 nights. The rest was her making sure, because a number you say out loud had better be load-bearing.
3 seasons, your ranch only. The dock for shrink, the pencil shrink on top of the honest shrink, and a freight rebate he collects and does not pass through. $1,437.50.
That's the East Bench. That's 2 years of the East Bench.
I know what it is, Mr. Marsh. I have been sitting with it for 8 days, trying to make it smaller. It does not get smaller.
Here's the part I'd take back. Hollis kept the Chicago papers for the banker, 2 weeks stale. I was looking for cattle prices. Page 5 found me anyway. Brandt and Son, auditors. A firm that caught a grain house cheating its farmers and got broken for it in court. And a line that said the daughter, C. Brandt, who performed the audit could not be reached. I rode home the long way, gave the anger time to figure out what it was. It wasn't anger by the time I got there. She saw the paper folded in my coat, and her spine went straight as her paper stacks, and she started talking like a woman reading her own sentence.
I was not dishonest on the form. My capabilities are domestic now because no firm in Chicago will... because the firms have been advised that... You want to know if this story is true? It is true. You want to know if we were wrong? We were not wrong. We were right, and it did not matter. And my father is dead of being right, and I signed a form that said I could cook.
Clara. First time I'd said her Christian name. She looked up like I'd touched her. The hens are alive. The mercantile bill's down $4. And you found the east bench in a soap crate. Form was wrong about the wrong thing, is all.
You are not sending me east.
I'm asking you to finish the job you already started. Whatever the agency thinks it placed here, I know what stepped off that train. She was quiet a while. Then she said the most Clara thing I ever heard.
The eastbound ticket cost $11.40. I have kept it pinned inside my coat since October. I am informing you of that so you understand that staying is a decision, and I have examined the alternatives, and I do not make decisions any other way.
Word went around like she said it would. Marsh's city cook does his accounts now. Ain't that a thing? They laughed, and they lent them, which was the whole idea. Hers. 9 ranches, 6 years of paper. She worked through Christmas. I'll spare you the ledger work. Quiet, exact. Worst news every week. 9 ranches, 6 years, 3 tricks, 1 man. 11,000 and change, in a valley where a school teacher made $30 a month. What matters is the evenings it took, because they were our evenings by then. 2 lamps burned down to 1, and neither of us ever moved the second lamp back. Then came the morning of the 9th of January. I can tell you the date because Dutch wrote it on the wall by the stove. Flapjacks. Golden. All the way through. She stood over that plate holding the turner like she didn't trust the evidence.
Taste it before anyone celebrates. I have been fooled by the outsides of things before.
Well?
Well is not a finding, Mr. Marsh.
Best I've had at this table in 6 years. I heard what I'd said the same moment she did. 6 years. The number sat down at the table with us. She didn't step around it, and she didn't make it into more than it was. She just put 2 more on my plate, and her hand steadied the plate a half-second longer than the plate needed. There was flour on her cheekbone, and I stood there with my thumb half raised like a fool at an auction. She saw the thumb. I know she saw it, because she turned and got very interested in a skillet that was doing fine on its own. Then Dutch came in stamping snow, and the morning went on the way mornings do. I have thought about that half-second more than I have thought about some whole years.
Flapjacks? Lord, write the date. Somebody get me a pencil. We're writing the date.
The last week of January, the sky came down. 3 days of white you could lose a fence line in. And on the second night, a heifer decided it was her time, because cattle keep the worst calendars in creation. I told Clara to stay by the stove. I want it written somewhere that I told her.
You will need light. You have 2 hands, and the heifer has opinions. I have carried a lamp before, Mr. Marsh. I carried one for my father for 11 years.
So she stood in a barn at 20 below, city coat over Margaret's old barn coat, and she held that lantern steady for 2 hours and 11 minutes. Didn't flinch at the blood, didn't fill the air with questions. Once I had to move the light, and I put my hand over hers on the loop and steered it down to where the work was. And I was slower about it than the work strictly needed. She let me be slow. When the calf finally came slick and steaming into the lamplight, I heard her let a long breath go.
Oh.
Yeah.
The books never say that the numbers stand up and breathe.
We walked back to the house through snow past our knees, her hand on my arm the whole way, which the drifts made necessary, and neither of us remarked on. Necessary is a word you can hide a great deal behind in a Montana January. The house was too warm after the barn. Her hair had come down somewhere in the second hour. I had never seen it down. I have handled a lightning spoot colt with steadier hands than I poured that coffee.
This is the worst coffee I have ever finished.
And she finished it. And then she laughed. The whole laugh, the first one all winter, at 2 a.m. with a flour tin for a chaperone. Then the laugh ran out. And the quiet that came after it was not the mending kind. She had the cup in both hands. I reached to take it to the basin, and her fingers were under mine on the tin for about the length of one breath. And nobody needed a lantern held now. And nobody let go. The kitchen got small. She looked at my mouth. I know that because I was looking at hers.
Thank you for an instructive evening, Mr. Marsh.
The banker voice. She took her lamp up those stairs, like the stairs had done something to her. And I stood in that kitchen till the window went gray, redoing one foot of it 100 different ways. Dutch came in at first light and looked at the coffee pot, and the 2 cups, and me.
Calf's up and nursing. Boss looks like the storm won.
Calf kept us.
Calf.
You don't collect 6 years of paper from 9 ranches quiet. Somewhere in February the laughing changed key, and Grange heard the new tune. 1st of March his buggy rolled into my yard, and he stepped down wearing the smile, a Chicago newspaper folded under his arm.
Marsh, fine place. Little bare of comforts, but a bachelor outfit usually is. Or, well, nearly bachelor.
Say the business, Grange.
Business. Here's one item. I'll take your steers early this year. 4 cents flat, my scale or the town's, your pick. That's a half cent over Chicago, friend. A man could shake on that before it sobers up.
4 cents flat was him telling me what my silence ran per pound. I let it lie. So he unfolded the newspaper, gentle, like he hated to, which he did not.
Other item. Brandt. There's a Chicago name. Firm swears to figures in a courtroom. Judge tosses the audit. Firm goes under. The old man dies of the disgrace. And the daughter? Whereabouts unknown. You see my concern. A whole valley betting its shipping season on a, let's say, a decertified source. I'd hate for 9 families to learn that the hard way, wouldn't you?
Judge Emery Whitfield, Cook County. He did not toss the audit, Mr. Grange. He excluded it on a filing date, which is a lawyer's trick, not an arithmetic one. The figures were never once shown to be wrong. If they had been, the grain house would have said so in print for a week. They said nothing. Men who have been counted correctly always say nothing.
Well, the little lady keeps up with her own press.
I keep up with everything that has my name on it. Which brings me to your settlement sheets.
The smile held, but it went to some effort. He climbed back in the buggy and told me, friendly as anything, that scales get inspected by whoever owns them, and valleys have long memories, and new cooks come and go. Then he rolled out, and Clara stood watching the buggy shrink, doing the one thing I never saw her do before or since. Nothing. No pencil, no column, just her hand flat on the porch rail, hard enough to whiten the knuckles.
He came with the newspaper, Eli. That means the newspaper is what he has. It is also everything I have. Do you understand that if this goes wrong in that scale house, it goes wrong on me twice?
Then we'll weigh it twice. She looked at me a long moment. Somewhere in it, I watched the bookkeeper finish an entry and rule the line under it.
Sunday. I would like to go to church with you and Dutch on Sunday. If the Valley is going to look at me, I would rather they practice while I am wearing my good collar.
Grange had done his work by Sunday. The talk stopped when we came through the door all at once. Mrs. Pruitt had the newspaper story by way of the bank, improved on the trip over. Clara walked in chin level, the way she'd stepped off the train, and picked out the back bench with her eyes, the stranger's bench. The Marsh pew is third from the front, left side. It had sat 2 people once, and then 1 for 6 years, and the Valley had watched it sit 1. I put my hand under Clara Brandt's elbow in front of all of them, and walked her down the center aisle, past Mrs. Pruitt, past every hat in the county, and sat her down on the window side, Margaret's side. Nobody heard me say a word, because I didn't say one. Dutch settled in on my other side, pleased as a man at a horse race. Her sleeve lay against mine through both hymns. That is the whole of what I retain from that sermon, and I have squared it with the Lord privately. And everybody in that room could count to 3 from the front left side. After the benediction, old Mrs. Aldecott, who buried 2 husbands and fears nothing that walks, looked Clara over head to boots and asked, in front of everyone, whether she preferred rhubarb tart or buttermilk pie, because she was bringing one by on Tuesday. That's a Valley changing its vote. It goes one old woman at a time.
You did not have to do that.
Didn't do anything. Walked to my seat.
Elias.
Pie, by the way. Tell her pie. Her tart's a scandal. The one thing left was the scale itself. Hollis had a freight-certified platform scale, and a 100-pound flour sack weighs what it weighs. One evening, late in March, Grange's man being at the saloon, we weighed that sack on the town scale, then on Grange's dock scale, and Clara wrote both numbers in her book and closed it soft.
100 pounds even. And 93 and a half. Mr. Marsh, we are done counting.
We told nobody but the association president. First shipping day of spring, the whole Valley at the pens. I'd asked the Stockmen's Association to attend the weighing, all of them. Grange watched 9 ranchers and 1 woman in a city coat file into his scale house, and the smile never flickered. That was the first wrong thing.
Gentlemen, Miss Brandt, a public weighing, they tell me. Well, I am a public-minded man. Where would the little lady like to start? Flour, was it?
Dutch set the same 100-pound sack on the platform, town certified an hour before in front of the association president. The needle swung and settled. 100 pounds. Even.
Where's the harm in a scale, friends? Though a man hears numbers on the wind all winter. 93 and a half, wasn't it? Going around? Delicate instruments, scales. Delicate things all around this season.
That number had been in exactly 3 places. Her book, my ears, and the association president's parlor. Somebody had talked. I never learned who. It stopped mattering because I was watching Clara understand that her trap had been walked around in the night. She didn't sink. She opened her book, the slowest I ever saw her do anything.
Then we are agreed the scale can change its mind, Mr. Grange. The remaining question is the date it did.
Tuesday night, ma'am. Feller come up from Miles City Tuesday noon with a tool case. Let himself into this dock after closing and worked a spell. Slept at the hotel. Left on the morning train. 50 cents, the room. I asked.
9 ranchers did that arithmetic quick. Clara wrote one line in her book, and Grange watched her write it, and that was the first time I saw the smile go to full cost.
Here is what does not change with the needle, Mr. Grange. 6 years of your own settlement sheets held against 6 years of the railroad's paid weights for the same cattle at the other end of the same trip. Short 6 1/2 pounds in every 100, season upon season upon season. And then, level, suddenly. The one morning 9 men come to watch. Scales do not repent. They get serviced. $1,437.50 from Crooked Creek. $11,206 from the men standing in this room. The railroad has confirmed your rebates in writing. The association has every sheet. The county has a word for the rest of it. And the only question left is the one Mr. Marsh is about to ask you.
These are... Gentlemen. Gentlemen, you have known me 6 years. You would take a hired girl's figures over...
They are not my figures, Mr. Grange. They are yours. I only added them up.
Cash or cattle, Grange? He paid. Not that day. The lawyers ate some. They always do. But the association hired its own weighman that afternoon, by a show of 9 hands, and hard men who'd laughed at a city coat in October, lined up to touch their hat brims to it in April. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Win a fight loud enough and the noise carries. The association's suit made the Chicago papers, and the papers printed a correction 4 years late. Her father's name in it, spelled right, cleared. 2 weeks after shipping day, a letter came from a firm called Harmon and Price. I know what it said because she left it on the kitchen table 3 days, face up, where I'd read it every time I passed. She meant me to.
They are offering $1,400 a year. Senior auditor. And Mr. Price writes that the firm would consider it an honor to put the name Brant back on a door in that city. That is the thing, you understand. Not the money. The door.
And God forgive me, I went quiet. 3 days. I told myself it was decency. A man doesn't stand in the road of a thing like that. The truth is worse. Fragments were all I'd ever needed, because fences and cattle and Dutch don't ask for whole sentences. And the one sentence that mattered was so heavy, I couldn't get it up the stairs. So I mended fence that wasn't broke, 3 days running, and every silence I spent was money out of an account I didn't know was near empty. Second supper of that silence. I got as far as her name, Clara.
Yes?
Pass the salt. She passed it. Our fingers did the thing they've been doing since January, the half-second thing. And then she took her hand back and cleared my plate, and I sat there and salted food I didn't taste.
Boss, I ain't a smart man, so I'll ask it simple. That fence sick again? 3rd day you doctored it. Lord gave every man a certain number of sentences, boss. May he forgive you for spending yours on wire.
The 4th morning, the ticket was gone from her coat. The coat hung by the door, the pin bare in the collar, and I stood looking at that empty pin a long while. She was at the table, the letter in front of her, pencil and book at hand, and she was not writing anything, which in 6 months I had never once seen.
The eastbound runs Thursday. I have been sitting here since 5 o'clock trying to finish a column. It is 2 numbers, Elias. 1,400 a year and a door with my father's name on it. Against $8 a month, room and board, in a house where I burned every supper of an entire winter. The arithmetic is not close. So why can I not finish it? Why?
I'd had a speech. Worked on it 3 days at a fence that didn't need me. I lost every word of it crossing that kitchen, and what was left when I got to the table was the only part that had ever been load-bearing. Clara, look at me. I love you.
You are aware that is the first complete sentence you have produced in my presence since October.
Took the winter to draft it. Been true since the 9th of January. Maybe the blizzard. You know why I couldn't say it. You taught me. A number you say out loud had better hold weight. Marry me. Keep the door here. We'll paint any name on it you want.
You took too long. I have been at this table since 5 o'clock and the column would not finish. 1,400 a year against $8 a month, and it would not finish, Elias, because I was solving for the wrong unknown, and... Yes. The answer is yes. It has been yes since January, and you took too long.
I kissed her then. Or she kissed me. We've never once settled the books on that, and I hope we never do. The letter got knocked to the floor. The ticket stayed where it was. Her hands came up into my hair, with flour still on them from one more breakfast gone wrong, and my Sunday shirt got the whole benefit. And for a while, in that kitchen, neither of us counted anything at all. The new ledger came from Miles City in May. Leather, her first unbroken spine. She wrote the opening entry herself, page 1, under permanent accounts, in that upright bookkeeper's hand. Marsh and Marsh, Crooked Creek. And she took the eastbound ticket, $11.40 of insurance she'd carried against the whole world all winter, and she set it in the crease to mark the page. Far as I know, it's marking it still. Folks ask what a man gets for $50 in a placement fee, sight unseen, off the 415 from Miles City. I tell them the truth, a cook who can't cook, and the only person in the territory who counted me back to even. Mrs. Aldecott brought the pie to the wedding. Wouldn't say what she'd have brought to a tart man. Some ledgers are better left closed.